The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Mark. Some Sadducees who denied that there is a resurrection came to Jesus and they put this question to him: Master, we have it from Moses in writing. If a man's brother dies, leaving a wife but no child, the man must marry the widow to raise up children for his brother. Now there were 7 brothers. The first married a wife and then died, leaving no children. The second married the widow, and he too died, leaving no children. With the third it was the same, and none of the 7 left any children. Last of all, the woman herself died. Now, at the resurrection, when they rise again, whose wife will she be, since she had been married to all 7? Jesus said to them, Is it not the reason why you go wrong, that you understand neither the Scriptures nor the power of God? For when they rise from the dead, men and women do not marry. No, they are like angels in heaven. Now about the dead rising again, have you never read in the book of Moses, in the passage about the bush, how God spoke to him and said, I am the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob? He is God not of the dead, but of the living. You are very mistaken. The Gospel of the Lord. St. Paul wrote to his friend Timothy, and in that letter today he said to him, fan into flame the gift you received when I laid my hands on you. He went further to say, to identify, to call the gift by name. He said, you have been given a spirit of sonship and not a spirit of timidity or a spirit of fear. When we talk about receiving the Spirit, it reminds us of our sacraments. First of all, at baptism, we receive the Spirit of God. And then we are commissioned at the sacrament of confirmation. By the sacrament of confirmation, we are moved from those listening to the word to sharing. We move from listening to sharing, and that is what the Spirit has made us to become. Not just listeners of God's word, but courageous and active sharing of God's word becomes part of our life. And until we are able to do this, the gift we have received has been kept and lying dormant. If someone wrapped a gift and gave it to you, what do? You open it and you use it. Thank you. But sometimes many people in the Catholic Church today who receive the gift of the Spirit, they admire the wrapping sheets and they want the gift to remain like that. They've kept it unopened. They don't care to open it. And some who made effort to open the gift, to unwrap it, they just kept it like that. They don't use it. So the gift is given to be unwrapped and to be used, and not just to be kept for admiration. And that is what many people do. And when you don't unwrap it to use it, you are not fanning it into flame. And when you don't fan it into flame, then the desired result will not be achieved. The young men whose life we celebrate today allow the gift of God in their lives to be fanned into flame. Their hearts were on fire for God's love. And that is why they count it as nothing compared to the sacrifice they are making. They don't count their sacrifice as anything compared to the love that they have for God. And so they were willing at that early age, between 13 and 30, they were willing to die for Christ. And they did died for Christ. Not a natural death. They were murdered for their faith. How many of us today can die for our faith? Many Christians can die for anything, but not their faith. This is where the challenge lies. If your faith is not important to you, then something is wrong. Some Christians today can easily give up their faith because of marriage. They can give up their faith because of their job. They can give up their faith so long as there is some financial benefit they will gain from that. They will easily give up their faith if it comes between them and their friends. Rather than losing their friends, they will rather give up their faith. Some people today will prefer to give up their faith than giving up any essential thing in their life. And so when you can give up your faith for anything, then that faith doesn't matter to you much. It's one of those things. It's counted as one of those things. It's not the main thing. As a Christian, there are two main things in your life: your faith and the rest of the things you do. Your faith cannot be included among those things. It stands on its own, and then every other thing are in the other basket. Faith in the major basket, then every other thing in the other basket. That's what it should be for us who are Christians. And unless you are able to raise your faith is able to get to that level, you cannot reach a stage where you'll be willing to give up your life. And when you give up your life, you know there is hope after life in the resurrection. I was looking at some of the videos during this lockdown, some videos, some images that are flying around on the internet. And one of those videos that struck me is about this microchipping. How many of you have heard about the microchippings? That you realize there are some part of the world now people are beginning to be microchipped, and it's gradually coming. First of all, we move from cash to card. Now people no longer carry cash, and now because of the pandemic, people are afraid of touching cash. They don't want to touch anything, so the world wants to go cashless and cardless. So you don't want to touch anything in case you get contaminated or you contact virus or something that will kill you. So a lot of people now, young people in Sweden and other parts of the world, are now having been microchipped. They have chips implanted in their body, and then with that chips, they can open the door to wherever they want to go. You pay your transportation, you do your transaction and anything. And gradually we are getting to a stage where without those chips, it will become compulsory for many people to have that chips. Recently there was a news in Nigeria where, I don't know how true, but I saw it on the news, where Bill Gates was alleged to have given a bribe of about $10 million to the lawmakers to make it compulsory for everyone to receive the vaccine for COVID-19. And that they should make a penalty for those who would not receive it. Without the vaccine, when you receive the vaccine, you either can be given a certificate, or you can be given a travel card, or a card to show that you have received, or you have the microchips planted in your body if you don't need card or certificate. That is the only guarantee that you will be able to travel around or to buy things or to be able to do transactions. It's coming. And what are we saying? If you haven't heard about this before, go and read the book of Revelation. 2,000 years ago it was prophesied that a time will come when the Antichrist will go on rampage and then begin to rule the world and making sure that everyone is given a number. And without this number, you can neither buy nor sell. And when you receive this number, only then you are able to buy or sell anything. And those who don't have this number are going to be martyred. This is the end time. Let no one deceive you. The world as you know it will never get back to normal. Let us be very realistic and call a spade a spade. So for Christians like you and I, it is a time to make a decision to stay with Christ, to stay by his side, to make our faith stronger, or to let go of our faith and then take side with the world. We have reached an intercession. This is not a call to fearfulness. It's not calling us, we are not being invited to be fearful. We are not hearing this to make us fearful because we have a place. We have a home. This place is not our home. We are now called upon to be more prayerful than ever before and to be more faithful. Not to be fearful, but to be faithful. And we need to let our friends know about this. We need to let our parents know about this. Though they may fight, they will do whatever they can, but in the end, they are going to fail. Because Mother Mary have said it 100 years ago, that the devil will seem to triumph temporarily, but in the end, her immaculate heart will triumph. But by then, many would have died. Many would have been martyred. I pray it may not be you and I. But if it comes, whether we accept death now or later, we will still die anyway. There is a politician in Nigeria who was known to saying the truth. He said, if you don't speak the truth, you will die. If you speak the truth, you will die. Rather say the truth and die. So death is not an end, and that is what Jesus is saying in the gospel reading today. There is a resurrection. He spoke about resurrection, and the people came to him and said, what are you talking about? The Sadducees, they don't believe in angels, they don't believe in spirit, they don't believe in the resurrection. And then they told him that story of 7 brothers. And Jesus said, at the resurrection of the dead, they are like angels. They don't marry. We need physical body to marry. But when people die, God is going to give them a glorious body. And that body is going to be, they are going to be like angels. They don't need the comfort and the pleasures of this life. The joy they have is nothing compared. What we have here as joy is nothing compared to the joy that we have. And so there is no need for marriage when we go to heaven. And heaven is our target. So my dear friends, people have gone before us. We can bear witness to that. And this is one of the evidence. Today we are read because 22 people gave their lives to God in Uganda. They planted a seed, and that seed has grown. And now it could be you, it could be me. Let us be more prayerful and let us be more faithful. And continue to fan the gifts God has given to you into flame. May God bless you.